We've all seen the quintessential life of a mid-20s Gen Z influencer. The classical glance at a freshly poured herbal tea, an oriental-covered Hobby Lobby journal, and a fluffy weighted blanket inviting its principal under the cozy covers. This, the Pinterest lifestyle, would make any girl jealous. Imagine a life with the ultimate aim to be comfortable, to be stress-free, and to be the self-proclaimed main character. And this is not what we're going for. We're doing it a little bit different this year. Hey, Editor Katie here, really quick. I want to jump in here and interject before I tell you what is going to be a little different this year. I wanted to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Most of the views on this channel, those of you who are watching consistently, are not subscribed. If you're subscribed to this channel, you get notifications for all of the content coming out. Let me give you a little bit of a clue into what is going to be coming out. The themes, the vibes. I'm giving you all the details about what's coming in the next 3 months in particular. We're going to be taking on the self-improvement industry and really diving deep into the new, the New Year's resolutions, the New Year, new girl, the Pinterest life, all of these different things, and really taking them apart and looking at, one, what's good, what's bad about them from a biblical context, and also what are we missing out on when we're making the very mundane, really simple things so incredibly important as the means and the end of our life, right? When we're making self-love and self-care the means and the end, both the resource we're using or the thing we're trying to achieve and the objective, the kind of like, this is what I'm made for. And I can't tell you how many times I myself have had conversations with people who say, I am alive to love myself. I'm alive to, continue to love myself more and more and more until I get to this sort of euphoric space. And so we're going to be taking on that ideology, seeing how much it's infiltrated in so much of the trends that are coming out in the world. And this video is a launch into a series that I'm doing to really kind of redefine this momentum that we're feeling at the end of the year into the beginning of the year. And instead of, not using that energy, not using that momentum, not using that desire for change, but instead using it in eternally productive ways, making sure that we're showing up ready and approved for the mission that God has for us, and really caring about others and how our skills and our tools and our resources can be used for them. So what I'm about to share for the next several months is kind of the big project for me to really get ready for the big rooms that God has for me. And I'd love for you to join along, not only in watching this, but also in following along with the challenge as well. Back to the video. One of the big goals that I've had ever since I decided to go back to college is really preparing myself for the load so that I can, one, do well in the classes, and two, really enjoy the things that I'm learning and not be overwhelmed by the class load. I want to have a life. I want to be healthy in all of the ways when I go to college. And I know that I'm very determined and very competitive, and I like to do things well. So learning to build some of that stamina up early and learn some things that I wanted to learn for a long time, improve some of the subjects that I'll be learning in school so that I can get ahead of the classes that I'll be in, while also doing that muscle building, both logistically, mentally, and physically. Y'all, that's what we're up to for the next 3 months. So come along for the ride as we simulate college. Here is how we're going about this. I chose some free online courses from Hillsdale College. They have a lovely comprehensive space with study guides and book chapters. Really amazing. I chose 3 of those courses that gave the variety that I wanted: history, philosophy, and a politics class, and then physics on Khan Academy and Spanish with Babbel. Getting back in the game. I've been very, very, very rusty. It's been a while since I've done any Spanish, so I'm excited to get back in the game. And then I wrote all of the stuff down, kind of got an idea of how much lecture to reading to writing ratio I need, made a calendar on my whiteboard to kind of write it out, and then I'm going to put it in my daily task list so that I can see what resources I need for every day. And we're gonna see if it works. While I work on my project for college simulation and building up the stamina to have a full-time class load, I want you to come along the journey with me. Whatever big projects you have, whatever big things that you want to be accomplishing, I want us all to pursue big things this year and this season, and to not do it for our own gain and our own desires and our own vibiness that we want to present to the rest of the world, but something that genuinely means a lot to you and your loved ones, to the impact that you want to make, to the calling that God's laying on your heart. Are you ready? Are you ready? This is my theme this season. I used to artificially make themes, this is going to be the word and this is going to be, and while I can see that those can absolutely be benefit, oftentimes they're man-made. We're not looking to God to say, God, what are you teaching me in this season of my life? What are you showing me that I need to be ready for to glorify you and to show others who you are? And so now it feels like the themes in my life are just, they're slapping me across the face, essentially. And I love that because I don't have to artificially create it. The theme this season of my life has been, be ready. And really the question thoughtfully every single day is, am I ready? Am I ready for the roles and responsibilities and good works that God has laid out before me? Do I need to know exactly what they look like to be ready? The answer is no. I want you to think about that for a minute. Think about the things that will help you be ready for any adventure that God has you on. Those things are all about his character and wanting more and more to desire after him, studying his word, studying who he is, knowing the difference between good theology and unbiblical theology, knowing the difference between what the world is offering and the lies and the deceptions and what is actually true. Looking around the world and seeing through the eyes of Christ, seeing through eternally significant lenses. And that means that we become both less stressed about what's going on from a reactional state, and also more the weight of the lost people around us becomes heavier and more intense at the same time. But that moves us to take action versus just be debilitatingly stressed out and anxious. And these are all the reasons why I am so incredibly passionate about sharing with you the big lessons that God has given me around discernment and critical thought and understanding his word, understanding a biblical context of life, knowing the difference between that and the many slight tweaks and eternally significant manipulations that Satan's using often to distract us and to lead those who are curious about who God is away from him. I want you to be strong and excited about the adventures that God has for you. And most importantly, I want us to be ready. I want us to be ready for the works that God has for us, to show ourselves equipped, to show ourselves ready, to show ourselves really prepared for what he's asking of us. And that means that we've got to look above and beyond our own personal gain and our own comfort. I will be making fun of the new me, new year trends all year long, definitely in the next few months. But the reason that I'm pointing out and being critical of these trends is because we need to rise above the mundane things that the world says we should be celebrating, which are all about me, myself, and I. And really be saying, God, use me in ways that shock me, use me in ways that I had no idea, because that will be about you and not about me. That'll be about your glory and your power and not about my capability. And so if this is a season where you are feeling that tug and that pull for something more, and you are going to the word of God and saying, God, help me see something, help me see the parts of you and who you are that I'm missing, that I'm not excited about, that I'm not lit up about. And I'm not experiencing the life-changingness of truth, of biblical truth, of your gift of salvation. And I want to be somebody who's so lit up about that other people see you through how I talk, behave, my choices, my priorities, how I stress about things, what I stress about. All of that communicates your worldview. If this is a season where you're ready to really lean into something more, then instead of going down the New Year's resolution routes where you're like, I'm going to lose this X amount of weight, or I'm going to do this for the means and end of me, myself, and I feeling good, being comfortable, being amazing, having more self-love for myself or whatever. Actually saying I'm taking on these things because they're ways in which I'm limiting the testimony that God has given me, the story that God has given me. I'm taking on these things that I've been scared to do because God is my strength, not mine. My resources are little and irrelevant compared to his power and his glory and the ways in which he will choose to use me. And that's the vision for this coming year, and we are starting early. There are a lot of things that we all want to accomplish, big, awesome things that we have on our bucket list that, someday maybe we'll do. But why not now? And why not for a bigger purpose than just your own enjoyment, but that you could enjoy the things and gifts and skills that God has given you because you're using them to serve and give and bless others. What if we were a culture and a society that enjoyed giving and being useful to our society, and as believers, knowing that the ways in which we interact with our society and with our communities also eternally impact those people around us? We get to be the living testimony of what God has done in our lives. What if this was the way that we lived our lives? So whether you're going to college, conventionally or unconventionally, or you're just shooting for a big goal, do it. And this is why we're going to be critical of the new year, new me trends. We're going to be critical of the New Year's resolutions and all of the self-obsession that comes with that. We're going to be critical, ultra critical. But also, in the midst of that, I want to be intentional about really pushing you and encouraging you to do hard things, to enjoy the gifts and skills that God has given you, and to excel at them, to enjoy excellence, to strive for another level than maybe you thought there was. And so while I'm over here working on simulating a college experience and learning some skills along the way, learning some things that I'd love to learn and catching up in a way that will prepare me well for less than 8 months from now, you can come along this journey with me, and while I give updates, you can be giving updates in the comments as well as you pursue the goals that God has for you.